are things that have to change, and I think that Tom certainly represents a like mind as mine, and I think that the other people that are running are starting to understand exactly what we're saying, because they're starting to echo our message, and what has been our message. The problem that I see is that I don't think that the particular town board has the political will to do what is necessary, because I think they have been in and will continue to exercise the same culture, anti-business culture that has been going on for years. And why do I say that with some confidence? I say that with some confidence because if you look at the recent legislation that was passed, including the escrow fee laws, that is anti-business. That's a business killer, and it's got dubious legality, very dubious legality. As far as the lawyers' fees are concerned under that law, there may be a violation of the disciplinary rules in terms of collecting a fee from your adversary, but it's a scheme, a fee scheme that creates all sorts of conflicts of interest. It's a fertile ground for graft and all sorts of shenanigans, especially when an applicant is being forced to pay whom the town decides that it needs to pay at a rate that the town decides it needs to pay that professional. It's all sort. If you analyze it and look at it, it's problematic from the A to Z. It's problematic. That is then a recent piece of legislation. The other recent piece of legislation is affordable housing set-asides. They're looking to mandate affordable housing set-asides, and that's a killer. It does nothing it provides no benefit to the town of Yorktown. And as a matter of fact, the town has had some experience with this. If you want to look at, it was a courtyard over in Shrub Oak. That was given as a density. There were certain affordable units that were built in a return for a density bonus on that site. That project eventually cost the town of Yorktown taxpayers a lot of money because of the problematic nature of maintaining the deed restrictions and the affordability of those units. So it's not without expense to the town. Plus, I don't believe it's constitutional in that it is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause, in that you're exacting from a individual, which is still a Yorktown owner, a landowner, a Yorktown constituent, or a future Yorktown constituent, hundreds of thousands of dollars from his particular property to offset what is a regional problem. And you can't do that. You cannot take from an individual an excess payment in order to resolve a general overall problem. So if you're mandating affordable housing set-asides, what you're actually doing is you're taxing an individual and to the tunes of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to spin off affordable units to whom, and then you have all sorts of issues in terms of and serious issues in terms of eligibility to purchase affordable housing's continued eligibility, and what happens to the equity that's passed from the developer who's forced to give to affordable housing to the owner that comes into the affordable house, and issues as to whether or not this all becomes another a gift, a private gift of public funds. And here you go again. If you want to talk about a petri dish for graft and possible graft and all sorts of other issues, that's where it starts to. As soon as the government takes on power to take from someone else, that becomes another opportunity for all sorts of shenanigans. And this is what's got to stop. It just has to stop. And I think if the town starts to take another direction, the long-term consequences are going to all be good for the town, and we will start to see the commercial tax base come back. You have people that will be enthusiastic about the town, and I do not believe that any of this will change the character, which is of the town in terms of its environmental beauty. They are not incompatible, and it'll actually provide the resources where we can be really good stewards of what we take in. And then I'm going to glaring example of that: Shadow Creek Golf Course on Route 6 was taken by the town. It was a viable, maintained a piece of property for a lot of years. Go buy it now. What's it have? It's got a fence around it. That's not being a good steward. And what did we take it for? In order to fence it in. So nobody's using it, nobody's enjoying it, and it's just an enormous expense to the town. It's a fenced-in piece of property, which was a otherwise viable piece of property. It still is a viable piece of property, and without having to cause any deterioration or detriment to the environment. But this is what you're getting. It's and this is the consequences of the culture that's been entrenched, I think, in town hall for a very long period of time.
Well, and speaking of which, with all of these points that you're making, which I would say are really the planks of your campaign platform, and as you just said, it's been entrenched a long time. I guess what you're saying is it's been institutionalized in the town government. But the next question then becomes, let's say hypothetically you are elected supervisor on November 8th, 2011. Obviously, you don't have any control over who's elected to the town board, and depending on who's elected to the town board, based on who's running, it may not change at all. It may change. So even as town supervisor, you would only have one vote. So, I mean, from what you're describing, it's sort of like turning an ocean liner around, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. You know what I think it is. It may be. I'm hopeful that my skills will not make it that difficult. And the reason why I say that is, look, I've got a long history with the town.